Hello and welcome to day 5 of our week of investigating fractions. Today's learning intention is to use models or pictures to describe fractions and then to solve a problem using fractions and models and everything we've done this week. So together we'll go through some different examples of using models and using fractions and putting it to some problems and some situations where we might use fractions. So here we go. Okay, so I hope everyone has this paper in front of them. This is just a model with 8 rectangles that we can use to model fractions. I'll start at the top left and go across as we work through. So in this first rectangle, I would like you to model 1/2, which means we're going to divide this shape into halves. Okay, so please go ahead and do that. Okay, so I hope your paper looks like this. It is divided into 2 equal halves. Now, as we investigated earlier in the week, there are many different ways we can divide this shape up into halves. It doesn't have to be like this. But when I'm using models to help solve problems with fractions, it usually helps to make the simplest model possible. So this is very easy and very clear to see that these are 2 equal parts. So I'm always going to use the most simplest model. Okay, next one. Can you divide this into thirds? So into 3 equal parts. Okay, I'll give you a few seconds. And it should look something like this. Again, we can divide it in a few different ways, but this is the simplest, easiest to see. Okay, next one. Can you divide it into fourths? So 4 equal parts. Okay, so it again following the same pattern. It looks something like this. I've divided it into 4 equal parts. But for this one, let's try it another way. Can I divide that next box into fourths again by using a different arrangement? So it will not look the same, but it will still be divided into 4 equal parts. Go ahead. Okay, and here's another possible way of dividing it into fourths. I've sort of divided into half like I did in the first picture, and then divided it in half the other orientation, and it creates 4 equal parts. Okay, so now let's get into some problem solving. I switched from my notebook just to this diagram, which is a little bit maybe clearer for you to see, but you can just work on your page there, should be fine. So in this problem, we can imagine we're imagining this rectangle as a big cake. I baked a cake last night, put it out of the oven, and put it on the counter to cool down. So it's this nice big cake. But then some people in my family came along and ate parts of the cake. They ate a fraction of the cake. And then once they eat that cake, it's gone, right? It's no longer there. Then there's a fractional part of the cake left. But then my other family member came over and ate a certain fraction of what was left over. And I want to figure out, when it's my turn to eat, how much of the whole cake is there left. Okay, so here's the problem. The cake is on the counter, and my brother came and ate half of the cake. So what I'm going to do is to divide the cake in half and shade the part that's eaten, because I'm thinking that part is gone now because he's eaten it, so I only have the clear white part left. So it looks like this. But now my sister comes by and sees this cake on the table, and she decides she's going to eat half of what is left. So the only part that's there is the white part, so she's going to eat half of it. So I divide that bottom white part into half. And then I'm going to shade half of it that she ate because now that part of the cake is gone. So the question I'm trying to answer is how much of the total cake is left for me to eat? And as we can see, just that white part is left, and that white part shows 1/4 of the total original cake is left over. Okay, so let's try one more problem where you do this mostly on your own. So after I give the scenario, you please pause the video so that you can work out how much of the cake has been eaten. So in this example, we have the same cake, same situation, but now my brother comes along and he eats 1/3 of the cake. Can you model that on this picture? Okay, so our picture looks something like this. My brother ate 1/3 of the cake, so it's divided into thirds, and 1/3 is colored gray to show it's gone. Next, my sister comes along and eats half of what was left. So my sister came and ate half of what's left, so I'm going to make a new line to divide that in half, and I'm going to shade 2 out of those 4 blocks gray to show that the cake is gone. So my final picture will look like this, and I can see that if it wasn't gray, there would be 6 of these little boxes in this whole picture. 2 of them are still there, 2 of them are white, so that means 2/6 of the cake is left over. Okay, so here is the problem. When you're creating your answer, very importantly, we want to use models. So that means pictures, numbers, and words to help explain how you came to your answer. All right, good luck.